Hey everybody, it's Cameron here. I'm in Voyagers National Park, way up in northern Minnesota on the Minnesota-Canadian border. And I'm on Rainbow Island, one of my favorite islands here in the park. I like this one, and I also like Rusty Island. And I also like Mitchell Island too, North Mitchell Island, campsite 58. And those of you that have been to this park know what those campsites are, and they are awesome. But this one's tucked away. It's back in the bay, and it's kind of quiet. You get to see people go by from a distance, rather than, in the case of North Mitchell Island, you're right there. It's on an island, and it's kind of jutted out in the lake there, and so everyone cruises right by you. But here you get to walk out on the rock over there and see everyone, go by from a distance, and it's kind of nice. It gets awful quiet back here in this bay at night. It's awful quiet, awful peaceful. I want to advocate for the park tonight. Voyagers National Park is one of the few national parks in the country devoted specifically for motorboat camping. There may be one or two others, I think. I'm not sure, but I know this one, for sure, obviously, is one of the major ones, if not the only one, devoted specifically for motorboat camping. To the southeast of here, they've got the Boundary Waters Canoe area, the BWCAW, and that's strictly paddle. There are small areas where you can take a motor of limited size, a limited distance, into the wilderness preserve area, but it's primarily a paddle-only area, and that's great area for adventuring and going into as well. If you want things a little easier, you come to Voyagers National Park and let the motorboat do all the work. But I want to encourage you when you come here to be a clean camper. They say that there's stark differences between a canoe camper and a motorboat camper. Well, there doesn't have to be. There doesn't have to be. I believe some of that statement to be correct. I snorkel many of the campsites here in Voyagers. Snorkeling is one of my favorite things to do when I come up here. I have a lot of fun. I find a lot of stuff. I search primarily for, fishing lures, and I definitely love collecting old fishing lures. And I find a lot of them just stuck in a wedge in a rock down there, just rotting away. And it's kind of cool to just collect them and stuff. I also like, doing it around the campsites because you get to find things like sunglasses, binoculars, wallets, stuff like that. Because around campsites, that's where you're going to find stuff. Because that's where people are. They lean over into the boat, they fall stuff, they lose stuff in the water. I found at this campsite here in the dirt yesterday, well, it appears to be a diamond. It's pretty small. It's probably cubic zirconium, but I got it safely tucked away, and I'm going to take it back to the cities with me and get it analyzed and find out if it's worth anything. It's kind of heavy. I don't think it's cubic zirconium, but it could be. And even if it is, oh well, I'm still going to take it there and check it out anyway. But anyway, getting back to my point, there doesn't have to be a difference between a canoe camper and a motorboat camper. You can choose, when you come to Voyagers National Park, to put your garbage in a plastic bag and pack it out with you. To be a clean camper. To, don't hack up live trees. Leave the hatchet at home and bring the saw instead. Only use firewood that is down or that is dead. No live trees. Only going to the washroom in the latrine. It gets very tempting, if you gotta use the, I'm talking to guys, to just go in the woods real quick, if you got to go to the bathroom. But really push to use the latrine. That's what it's there for. Don't put any food in it, because that just attracts bears, and then they rip the whole thing apart, and then it just ends up costing the park more. So use the latrine. Like I said, keep a clean campsite. You know, keep garbage contained. Keep a nice, neat wood pile. Stay on paths. You know, designated paths at your campsite. You know, that sort of thing. Don't throw things in the water. You know, I snorkel out here in front of Rainbow Island here, and I haven't found any garbage. You know, it's about 12, 14 feet deep out here. I've gone down, but I have found a lot of golf balls. And to me, that's kind of like garbage. You know, I'm not saying anything about the sport of golfing here. I'm just saying, you know, golf balls, you know, they don't belong. They just don't belong there. They're gleaming white, and they look like turtle eggs down there. But they're not. They're golf balls. And so I collect them, and I've got a pile of 8 of them so far. I've been at this particular campsite since Tuesday, and today's Friday. And, you know, I've already found 8 of them. I've done a lot of snorkeling, and found some lures and stuff, and things like that. But I'm happy to say that I have found very little, if any, garbage. So that's great. That's awesome. So that might be saying that the old myth back in the day about the two types of campers, that there's a stark difference, that might be saying that things are changing. That people that come to this park and do this kind of camping are changing and becoming more responsible. Because when you can come into a park, you can bring canned goods, and you can bring, you know, all kinds of things that produce garbage, you know, plastic containers, hot dog bags, you know, stuff like that. You know, it presents itself as a problem if you're not really responsible. It can end up in the lake real easy. And so, so I just want to advocate for the park and be a clean camper. When you leave, take a plastic bag, walk around, and pick up all the twist ties, all the garbage that you can find, and pack it out with you. One other thing I like to do, at least once, when I'm up here on every trip, and I try to come up here every year. I missed last year, but was up here in 2011, is take a plastic bag and go to other campsites. Now, go to vacant campsites, obviously. Don't go to, you know, obviously campsites where people are camping, because they're going to, well, they're not going to let you. So, you know what I was trying to say there. So, I like to go to vacant campsites, and just explore them too. Learn what they're like, and maybe choose to camp there next time, you know. There's tons of campsites here in Voyagers National Park, all up and down Namakan here. East End, you know, the West End, and the Wolfpack Islands. And then you got up by Kubel Island and Namakan Island, you know, and you got down here in Hoist Bay, there's a couple, and you know, there's lots of, get out there and explore and check them out, and take a plastic bag with you, and just clean the park up as you go out there. Don't dump gas or oil in the water unnecessarily. You know, obviously the motors have exhaust, and so there's things going to get in the water that way. But do your gas mixing and oil mixing either in your boat or on land. I don't recommend doing it on you know, the shore right next to the water, or on a dock or anything like that where you can spill, and you know, that sort of thing. Also, be quiet. Motorboat camping, you know, motorboats obviously make noise, and so there's enough noise there already. But to be hooting and hollering, and you know, just because we're in a motorboat park doesn't mean we have to make a racket, you know, and act like a bunch of partiers and that sort of thing. So keep things quiet. Keep things quiet, clean. You know, when you clean your fish at night, what I do is I will take my fish to an adjacent island to the campsite, and I will clean them over there, and then I'll leave the entrails on the rocks. I think in Canada they require that you bury them. I'm not sure. It may be even here that you bury them, but I have found that, you know, they the birds will come and clean up any leftover fish entrails right away. The other night I had 2 eagles and a herring gull battling out for my bass remains. And the herring gull won. So go figure that one. But anyway, the other thing too is, I mentioned I snorkel out here in front of the island. I found some fish heads down there. I don't know what it is about fish heads that scavenging creatures don't like, turtles and the such. I just don't know what they don't like about fish heads, but I have found fish heads not just here at Rainbow Island, but at other campsites too, just fish heads. Leave them on shore for the birds, okay? I think the birds pretty much pick the tar out of any fish head that I know that I've seen. I've even seen birds eating, whole fish heads. But if you throw them in the water, they go right to the bottom of the lake, and nothing's going to get them. And they're going to sit there, and when Cameron comes along snorkeling, he's going to find them, and he's going to be grossed out. So, so either that or burn them. I mean, you could throw the entrails in your fire, your fire ring at night when you're having a fire, and just burn the tar out of them. That's another thing you can do. But just keep things clean and quiet, and enjoy the park. It's an extremely beautiful park. Very mature pines all over the place. Rocky outcroppings. They've got sandy beaches. The water's always warm. June and July are my favorite times to come to the park. Yeah, they're buggy, especially this year they're buggy. And Toby's really been having a hard time. Excuse me, the horseflies this year, I swear they're that big. They're at least 2 inches long. I'm exaggerating, and they're like that thick, okay? They're like hummingbirds with needles, all right? They're huge, and they're very healthy and big, and they love to chow down on humans and on dogs, and they especially love Toby's butt for some reason. I think because he can't reach there so easily. But just, keep things clean and quiet, and don't have a fire unless you absolutely have to. Having a fire is normal when you go camping. Everyone knows that. But don't have a fire just for the sake of having a fire. That would be my argument. If you want a fire in the evening sometime, have one. But don't have one. I don't think you have to have one every single night. I certainly don't. And that doesn't mean that my way is the right way. I'm just saying that, to preserve wood resources and that sort of thing. One thing I like to do, too, is whenever I leave a campsite, is to leave a pile of wood for the next campers. And that makes campers happy. When you come in and see a clean campsite and see a nice, neat stack of dry wood ready to burn sitting next to the fire ring, that makes you feel really good. So, and, picking up all the garbage and everything, that all goes with it. So, but like I said, Voyagers National Park is a very beautiful park, a very big park. I think there's like 40 miles, goes all the way up here down to Capitogama, the other end. You also got the Kettle Falls Hotel up here, and you can get gas and stuff like that. From my campsite here, it's actually more efficient for me to go down to Crane Lake, and I choose Handberg Marine. Handberg Marine is an awesome place. Not only do they have great sweaters, warm sweaters and stuff, but they got friendly staff and they've got great ice cream. They've got great ice cream. They've got like 8 to 10 varieties and a great big sugar cone. That's always a tradition for me whenever I end a trip to Voyagers National Park. I always swing in there and have a great big ice cream cone and just sit on the bench there and talk with people. They're so friendly there. They're so helpful. That's the only place up here that I do business, is Handberg Marine. I buy gas from them. They have mixed gas. They're one of the few that have mixed gas left here in Voyagers National Park. One of the few. Most people just have regular unleaded, premium unleaded, but they're one of the few that still carries unleaded or mixed gas rather. So it's just a great place, and it's right there by the boat launch. It's very handy. People are nice. They've got lots of supplies, lots of gear and gas, and it's just great to swing in there before you head out. So anyway, it's getting down to 15 minutes here, and again, I hope all your adventures, first of all, to the park are great and awesome and adventurous. Choose June and July. Those seem to be the sunniest, definitely, the longest daylight hours, and the warmest, and the funnest, and the water's the warmest. But it's up to you when you come here. I hope your adventures are safe, and fun and exciting up here in Voyagers National Park. And I guess that's it. Thank you for watching my video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.